Hey guys, Zooch here. I'm back with another installment of my replay review series. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, basically, players submit games to me where they lost and think, something went off track. How could I have won this game? I review the game, sort of provide my insight, and say, you could have done this better, you could have done this better, you did this pretty well and you lost anyway. For those of you who are interested in participating in this series, I've included a link to the Discord server below. You can take a look at that if you want. I'm not always able to get to every request. I've had to pass by a couple just because of time constraints. But I highly encourage you folks who are interested in participating to submit games for me to review. Without your submissions, I can't really continue this series. So hopefully it's as insightful for you as it is fun for me to do. Today we are doing a game from ZoochZ, who is, it looks like, running a Fey deck. I'm not quite sure what his deck list is. It looks to be more controlling, maybe late game oriented than a typical aggro deck. Regardless, why don't we jump in and see where things go? So my first thought here is probably are going to throw back this Arctic Displacer. It's not really an early game card. You kind of want it to close out the game, and in particular, if you can get it in conjunction with Spirit of the Wild, that's a great way to finish off your opponent. That having been said, I don't know as if I would throw away anything else necessarily. The Tiger seems fine to get rid of, but I like to have it around to pick off, random 2-3 minions like Primus Fist or Healing Mystic. It's not the best against Magmar because if they have Veteran Silithar as their opening play, you can't really kill it. Just with Tiger, that is. So I could see throwing it back, but I would probably keep everything here except the Arctic Displacer. So let's see what ZoochZ does. All right, he debates throwing the Tiger and gets rid of it. This hand's okay. Let's see what happens. Our opponent just moves for one space, which is certainly interesting. I'm either this is a new tactic that I haven't seen, or it was a misclick. But either way, I just don't know what to do here. Regardless, so what we can do on our turn is drop this Fenrir Warmaster here on this mana tile and then play out the Snow Chaser as well. That seems like a pretty solid play. If you put the Snow Chaser in a position where it can, cross over, infiltrate to the other side, you can start getting value with it pretty immediately. The other thing that you could do is throw back Snow Chaser and play Fenrir Warmaster right here. What this does is it lets you almost assuredly have 5 mana next turn, so you can cast a 5-drop. Again, I'm not sure what is in ZoochZ's deck, so maybe in the future I have to request a deck list from folks. But either way, I think we're pretty good here. I don't know if I would throw back anything. If anything, I'd probably throw back Snow Chaser. I probably would have kept that. It's not super powerful, but it is a removal spell, which your deck doesn't have any of at this point in time. So for that reason, even if it didn't search up a creature, I probably would have kept the Cryogenesis. Because now if he has like a random 4 toughness threat, you don't really have a convenient way to get rid of it. And Cryogenesis is great because it replaces itself. So probably would not have tossed that back right here. Well, that being as said, I see one of two options, and both of them involve Fenrir Warmaster. Either putting it on this mana tile and then putting Snow Chaser right here so it can come up and get this mana tile next turn, or just putting Fenrir Warmaster right here next turn. I probably would... I almost want to just put the Fenrir right here so that next turn you can have access to potentially 6 mana. But it's neither... unless we're drawing a 6-drop, I don't really see that as something that we have to do next turn, especially if we plan on playing the Snow Chaser. So I'd probably drop this guy in the mana tile and then play Snow Chaser right up here. The reason that we want to... Okay. So there's a couple things that I don't like about the series of plays. First, you're throwing down a 2-drop and a 1-drop, which are inherently weaker than a 3-drop, just because of the way that minions scale via mana cost. I would definitely have played this guy out because it sort of uses your mana more efficiently. And if you were going to play, another creature, I probably would have just played this here. He can kill the first half of it with Young Silithar, but then you get to kill his egg, and you're left with a 3/2. I'm fine with that trade. Here, you sort of open yourself up to some, I won't say blowouts, but like if he has Primus Fist or Greater Fortitude, he can use his Young Silithar to just come up and kill your Crystal Cloaker. It seems, I don't know, like you just threw this card away for no reason. And I'm being a little harsh with that assessment, so I apologize. I probably would have put Crystal Cloaker, if these were the two creatures you wanted to play, I probably would have put Crystal Cloaker right here so that he can't attack it with his minion. He can't kill it outright with his general and minion because they both need to occupy the same space, but I think there's a lot of ways in which this sort of backfires on you. So let's see what happens. All right. So it's worth noting here that, he didn't even need to kill it this turn to sort of get value. Like, he basically dealt 2 damage to it for free since Healing Mystic was his only play. So if you had put it out of the way, I mean, it would have been a 2/3 right now. In fact, if you'd put it right here, probably could have gone and picked off this Healing Mystic or, at least come up and gotten this Mana Spring. Okay, well, that being as it were, what can we do here? So we can do a couple things here. We obviously want to get Primus Shieldmaster down. We can actually get all of all this mana. I think we would have to move here, come down here, play Primus Shieldmaster here, and then play Fenrir Warmaster. It seems like sort of a waste, considering you can just trade your Crystal Cloaker in for this Healing Mystic right now by infiltrating up here and attacking. Likewise, you can just attack with your Snow Chaser and get value out of it almost immediately. So I would probably, you're almost certainly going to play this Primus Shieldmaster. And the question, I think, is, where am I playing it? I kind of like putting it right here, moving your general here. Well, let's see what happens. Let's see if we replace anything. I probably would not replace, but okay. Well, that's a good card. Okay, so now that we've drawn that, we have a really good series of plays here. We move Crystal Cloaker up above Healing Mystic, so Infiltrate turns on. We'll use it to trade with Healing Mystic. Then we can move forward our Snow Chaser just to attack him outright. Then, let's see, we really want to hit 6 mana. Well, maybe we just use our Snow Chaser to come up here. Yeah, okay. Instead of attacking with the Snow Chaser, we're going to take Snow Chaser to come up here to this Mana Spring. We're going to move our General onto this Mana Spring, so that gives us 6 mana. We get to plop our Primus Shieldmaster right in between our 2 Generals, and then with our last 2 mana, we can Chromatic Cold this and kill it. I really like clearing the board here. I don't think you're going to get a better opportunity. But we'll see what happens. Let's see what our hero does. Okay. Okay. All right. So I think a mistake here was not trading your Crystal Cloaker in for this Healing Mystic, right? So you could have used this 2/1 to take care of a 2/3, and you could have just attacked. You basically did attack his Young Silithar anyway, so you could have just put your General right here and accomplished almost the exact same thing. So that right there, I think, is an error that might come back to bite you. But we'll see what our opponent does. I sort of fear a Eggmorph on this, an attack here, and then Voth moving up here to kill Snow Chaser while it can't infiltrate. That would have happened anyway with our series of events, but this way he gets to... actually it wouldn't have, because his healing mystic would have been dead. So he would have had to probably use Voth to kill the Primus Shieldmaster as opposed to the Snow Chaser. I'm also just theorizing what I think is going to happen, so who knows. Yeah, okay. Alright, so exactly. And, well, we'll let him finish his turn. Okay. So like I sort of just suggested, he was able to clear your Snow Chaser with his Healing Mystic, which if you had traded your Crystal Cloaker for his Healing Mystic, he wouldn't have been able to do. He would have had to use his General to attack the Eggmorph Primus Shieldmaster, which basically meant that you would have had a Snow Chaser on the board that next turn could have come down and infiltrated and attacked and come back to your hand. So you essentially would have been up a card. Now, not only are you down a card because of that, but you're going to have to clear this Healing Mystic via your General or this Crystal Cloaker. I mean, if you clear it with the Crystal Cloaker, you're not really down a card. Or you're only down one card, but at the end of the day, I think clearing this the turn prior would have been a better play. All right, so what do we do on our turn? I think we're probably past the point at which Snow Chaser is going to be truly viable, but that having been said, I think you have a nice play here of just walking up, killing his Healing Mystic with your General, and then playing Primus Shieldmaster and Snow Chaser. I would put the Primus Shieldmaster above him and the Snow Chaser below, just in case he has some removal for the Primus Shieldmaster. He can't also come down and potentially get this Mana Spring. So it's sort of a not really important point, but I'd probably put the Shieldmaster up here and the Snow Chaser below. I wouldn't attack with the Crystal Cloaker. I'd probably move it close and see if I could infiltrate it next turn to pick off something better. By the way, we still have this Fenrir Warmaster in our hand, which we could have played turn 1 and elected not to. This would have gotten a lot of value, I think. All right. Okay. So I think you didn't need to do that right there. There's no reason to Warbird this turn. I don't think, right? 2, 3, yeah. It's going to be active for one whole turn next turn. So you can always, and you don't really have a whole lot that's really clogging up your hand in terms of, you know, I have to spend this mana right now. I think you could have saved this Mana Sphere, or Mana Tile, because I don't think he was going to get to it. That having been said, you know, it's not the worst play, but now if your Snow Chaser dies, it's not coming back to your hand. Whereas, like, if you had just held off on this Warbird, played this Snow Chaser so it was infiltrating, then at the very least, you know, if it dies, you get it back in your hand. You've essentially drawn a card, right? I still wouldn't attack here, and I would come up and attack this thing. Okay. If he has a Spirit Harvester, he might be in trouble. Nope. Repulsor Beast. Okay. So, like, you had a removal spell for the Primus Fist, and now you end up losing your Snow Chaser that you otherwise could have kept around. Flash Reincarnation. Okay. It's being flashed out. Veteran Silithar. So, this is a nice point about positioning. So, he has effectively trapped your Crystal Cloaker. He's prevented it from being able to infiltrate, right? So you could normally, like, kill the Repulsor Beast, but you can't because you can't get your General over here to kill the Repulsor Beast, and then to do that you would have had to have moved your Crystal Cloaker. I'll point out, by the way, that had you not used Warbird last turn, you could have had Warbird online for this turn. It's sort of, you know, maybe he would have played his stuff a little bit differently, but then you could have at least infiltrated this easier to kill his Veteran Silithar with your Crystal Cloaker and General. So I guess just to emphasize, there wasn't any real need to Warbird last turn, and if you had saved it, you would have either gotten to kill this Repulsor Beast for free, or been able to impact his positioning such that he couldn't have blocked you in like this. So what do we do on our turn? I think since you can't clear this, this might be a fine time to Chromatic Hold his Veteran Silithar and then kill it with your Crystal Cloaker. I'd probably replace Snowpiercer first. If you get something like Hearthsister, that could be insanely valuable by like Hearthsistering your Primus Shieldmaster here, so that can kill the Repulsor Beast, but we'll see what happens. Okay, Voice of the Wild. That's not bad. You don't have any other creatures to play with it, but it's okay. All right. So one thing I think, if at all possible, I would think I would have tried to place this in such a way that you don't get blown up by Macantor or Warbeast. I don't know if that would have been possible, but now he can play a Warbeast, like walk forward here, play a Warbeast here, it move forward here, and it kills your Voice of the Wind and deals a significant chunk to Shieldmaster. I'm not saying that's not the end of the world, but you are down to one card, and he does have 3, so the other thing to sort of keep in mind is that he can just run away from this, right? You sort of put your Voice of the Wind way far back, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but you sort of have board control right now. I think I would have tried to capitalize on that, maybe. That being said, like, I'm not sure that there's a way that you could have played this out in a threatening position that wouldn't also have led to a blowout with Macantor Warbeast, so maybe I'm wrong, but anyway, I think he can do one of two things. If he has Warbeast, he can kill it and like go on the offensive, or he can just run away and start developing his board back here. Let's see what he does. Tiger, okay. Dire Tide Frenzy on Tiger is also good. Oh, okay. Man, glad he didn't have a Dire Tide Frenzy, am I right? Natural selection, sure. Alright, well, you're down to card parity for whatever it's worth. So, at this point in time, it's the awkward who top decks what. We'll just have to see if we can trade our resources. Like, it's a pretty bad card to draw here. That's not your fault or anything like that. But it certainly doesn't bode well for us moving forward. I would probably hold on to this Warbird for another turn. There's no reason you need to do it now since it's not going to reset until you hit 9 mana. So probably wait and see, you could potentially get a Hearthsister next turn to deal 2 extra damage to a minion, or you might forget that this exists. So I probably wouldn't use it this turn, probably just run away. I don't know which direction, probably back on his side of the board just to get all your... Yeah, there's no reason to do it here because, I mean, you're not going to end up with an absurd amount of things to do next turn, right? You have a 0-cost card in your hand. You're probably throwing it away, but yeah. Mogwai. Uh-oh. Alright, so we clearly have to clear Mogwai. For that reason, I probably would not have thrown away the spell that deals 1 damage because, it's a very easy way to kill this creature. You drew into a Bloodtear Alchemist, which I think is a little lucky, which is, having a little luck is fine, but I probably would have kept the Flash Freeze just so you could guarantee clear this Mogwai. At this point, I think you just slam both your creatures out, and you do it in a line so that, or like a diagonal line, so that if he has Warbeast, it's not going to be too problematic for you. Yeah, I probably wouldn't have put it there. So if he ends up having War Beast, I think the game probably doesn't end on the spot, but you're in a real pickle. Okay, Silithar Elder. Alright. It's a really good spawn. Oh, never mind. I thought it was going to be a good spawn for this egg. It is not. Alright. At this point, I would probably just try to trade these in for some damage. I don't know what's in the deck, but you're not going to. These aren't going to do much else for the rest of the game. So you could have gotten in 4 damage, put him to 9. I mean, if he ends up drawing like an Earth Sphere, you probably lose anyway. But at this point in time, you really need to make sure that you get value out of your creatures and that they don't just get picked off by Silithar Elders. So, like, you've got a pretty fast clock with this Warbird, especially if you can. Get something like Fenrir Warmaster in line in striking distance of him. So I would probably here. I think I'd still use my Bloodtear Alchemist to kill this, and then just get 2 damage in with Crystal Cloaker, Warbird, move up here, and then play Fenrir Warmaster right here. It's not the ideal location, but it's out of attack range of both of these minions, and it sort of forces him to retreat rather than, I don't know, move anywhere else. So we'll see. Alright, here's definitely a change that I would have made. So you have Crystal Chromatic Hold. Here's a very good lesson, in my opinion, of knowing when you need to stop focusing on trying to control the board and trying to focus on the opponent. I guess, in other words, what's your plan for winning this game, right? The plan for winning this game is killing your opponent as fast as possible, and doing so by just ignoring his board, right? If you're going to spend resources to try to curb this ever-growing Silithar army, you're going to lose the game. You need to use all your direct damage spells on his face. And in particular, this is a great one to draw, because then this Crystal Cloaker survives when it attacks him. So you get to essentially get double duty out of it. I would probably attack here, Chromatic Cold his face, attack with Crystal Cloaker, and then Warbird him. That's going to bring him down to 7, which is only, I mean, depending on how many Tigers and other direct damage spells you have left in your deck, I mean, that's a pretty low life total for where he could be. So I really dislike the play of Chromatic Holding his Silithar Elder here, because you're just not going to win that game, you know? Plus, if you Chromatic Hold him, you end up playing around if he has something like Silhouette Tracer to smash you for a bunch. Alright, so Emerald Rejuvenator is certainly a problem. I think I still, even knowing that this was coming, I'd still probably just try to focus on him. Right, at this point, you're in quite a pickle. I think you clearly used the Bloodtear to ping this off. Oh, you got a Dark Nemesis. Oh, goodness. I didn't see that happen. I think you use your Crystal Cloaker to clear the... Alright, so I think you use your Crystal Cloaker to clear this, first of all. And then you moved your Voice of the Wind right in line of his Silithar Elder. So it's just going to get killed next turn. I don't think there's any reason you needed to do that. I also don't like leaving this guy alive. So, I mean, what if he has something like Diretide Frenzy? He can kill both these threats. Alright, well, I think this is a mistake on his part. He should have Diretide Frenzied the Emerald Rejuvenator so that he can smack this around, clear it, and have his 4/1 Rejuvenator survive. Like, I don't know. There's no reason that this needed to not, take 2 less damage. Oh, holy cow. One of them is at full health. Okay, not anymore. I think he probably ought to have fractal replicated before he attacked. Well played. So I don't think that you are out of this yet. I mean, I guess you were, but if you could have survived a turn, I mean, if you could have survived a turn and had your Dark Nemesis survive a turn, I mean, you could probably win the game. Right. I don't know if that's possible, but so I would have, I think, if it were me, I would have moved my general to the corner. Obviously, you have to move this out. I'd probably move it here, right? I would have moved it out. I would not have killed this egg because then that prevents this Silithar from getting to your general. So you might take 9, but you're not necessarily dead, right? Your general is going to survive, and then you get one more turn of potentially drawing something like, I don't know, some sort of direct damage spell to kill him. Because you had Tiger in hand that you could have saved to do 3 points of damage. So if you draw like, I don't know, something like a Frostfire or something like that, you could have potentially like gotten the last points of damage. We'll see. I mean, here obviously you're super dead, but I wouldn't have conceded right then. You still had a turn that you could have survived and tried to draw something to win the game. I felt like I was a little harsh in this video. I apologize, but I had some pretty, I don't know, I was pretty adamant about some points, and I don't know, got a little emotional, so I apologize. Anyway, I hope that helped. Let me know if you have any questions, and stay tuned for the next video.